Thank you. Sir, pleasure to be with you.
Ah, man, it's a pleasure having you. I mean, it's so much I want to ask you. It's so much I want to get into. I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to take up that much of your time. Nolan Wells, for the people that's unfamiliar with that case, can you break that down?
Certainly. Um, Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old black teenager who, on 4th of July, was celebrating with his friends, and he went out on Horn Island. He went with his three other friends, at least what we have in the photograph, um, and they were young white teenagers. He was the only black teenager, and somehow they all came back home safely on the 4th of July, but Nolan Wells did not come home. His mother, their families announced that he was missing. They were, out of their mind with concern. And then his body was found washed up on shore 2 days later, um, face down, dead. Um, and so then everybody started to try to say, well, what happened? When you look at the videos, there were 300, 400 people out there. And what we've been saying, somebody knows something, somebody saw something. Um, there was a young lady named Katie who said that, you know, she was talking to Nolan, but then he got back on the boat with the people he came with or got back on the boat with the boys. And the boys who were on the boat with him said, Nolan said he was going to stay behind with Katie uh, and that he was not going to go back with them. One of the things that has been bewildering is the fact that if he says he's going to stay behind, why doesn't an 18-year-old get their cell phone? If they're not going to go with the boat, why would they leave it with them? His mother, called his phone 3 times, got no answer after they started getting concerned. And it was when they did the Life 360, trying to say, find my phone, is when she found out that the phone were with the friends. And so her friend went to get the phone. Uh, and when they got the phone back, they discovered that there were a lot of Snapchat messages that were deleted. They also found that there were some texts deleted. So that was very concerning to them as they're trying to figure out, what happened to my child? He's our child is dead and we have no answers. Nobody's telling us anything. And so it became just an incredibly painful ordeal for them trying to find out what happened to Nolan Wells. And then America became engaged in this matter because it wasn't adding up to anybody. He says, I'm going to stay behind, but he leaves his cell phone. He doesn't have his car keys. You know, well, if he stand behind and you don't have any of that information, people are saying, did he stay behind? And so that becomes a question. Um, and, you know, obviously there's this CETO audio that comes out that people have did forensic audio uh, engineering on it to try to see what was being said on the audio recording of the CETO counter 911 type call. And it's in that call that people say they hear certain things. We have retained audio engineering experts to be able to decipher and to render expert opinions on the validity of the CETO 911 audio that seems to suggest things about the presence of Nolan. And so we are trying not to speculate, we're trying to investigate, but we are asking questions, questions that don't add up to us. And that's what everybody's been doing because everybody says, how can this 18-year-old college football player who's in tip top shape just go missing and nobody knows anything? Nobody's seen anything. And the sheriff within, hours after he was discovered, his dead body, they claimed that, you know, that no foul play, accidental drowning is what they suggest. And his family are saying, we can't accept that when you make that conclusion without doing no investigations. And so what they want is a full, impartial, fair investigation into what happened to Nolan Wells. In our community, we see people investigate it very zealously. And so we want the same thing for our children. We want them to zealously investigate this matter just as if they would if the roles were reversed. And that's what I think has people in the minority community saying, hold on, we want to know what's on everybody's phone. We want to know social media because all of that could become very relevant information as to what happened to Nolan Wells.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the woman that Nolan was hanging out with when he was at the island, Katie, her sister Gracie, came out and said that Nolan intended to go back to the mainland with his friends, right?
Yeah, there seems to be a conflict in what they're saying. They said he stayed with the young lady. The young lady said no, he got back on the boat. And so, that seems to be one of the biggest issues that everybody is trying to figure out, as well as the independent autopsy where he had uh, red discoloration at the back of his brain that was found in the second autopsy, and also the fact that the initial state medical examiner kept possession of Nolan Wells' throat. Uh, and we don't know why they did that. Our pathologist, Dr. Roger Mitchell, said when he was the chief medical examiner for the city of Washington, D.C., that they normally would do that, that it wasn't uncommon if they suspected that there might be some fracture or some compressions to the throat.
So after y'all did the autopsy, from what you know, what do you believe that was on the back of his neck?
We can't speculate. We know that we think Dr. Roger Mitchell should have the benefit of looking at all the autopsy notes and observations and photographs from the first autopsy, and then have, you know, the state medical examiner be able to look at all of his notes from the second autopsy and try to work together to figure out what conclusions that they can draw from the autopsies, both of them. And then also waiting for toxicology. That becomes a factor in finding out the manner and cause of death. But Dr. Mitchell said, and this is a very, very important, he said, if it's a drowning, then that still doesn't answer the whole question of what happened to Nolan Wells, because he said then there are questions about, was Nolan Wells' condition of his body conscious or unconscious when he went into the water? Furthermore, he said, did he go into the water uh, unforced or forced? He said all those things become factors.
Makes a lot of sense. And I know his friend Warren Hudson, he came out with an interview where he made a statement about how Nolan, he was drinking liquor on the boat. You heard about that?
Well, we don't know. We want the toxicology to come. We know when you hear the CETO audio call, it appears that there was some intoxication. But again, toxicology can tell us that. And people's firsthand eyewitness testimony can tell us that. We want answers. As I've said over and over again, I am for truth, no matter who it implicates or who it exonerates. I am for justice, no matter who it convicts or who it acquits. And I am certainly for transparency so all of us can see and we can have trust in the system that this was a fair, impartial, and complete investigation. That's what everybody would want if this was their child.
Hold on one second, y'all. He's absolutely correct. And I don't understand why people seem to think that no one should want any type of answers. Like I'm just not getting it. You know what I mean? So I'm not, like I said, I don't know what these people deal is. I don't know why. I just don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what their they gang to gain here other than I don't want to go to jail type deal, I guess. I'm not for sure. You know what I mean? But hold on one second, y'all. Let me get up in the mix of this. Let me get back in the mix. Okay, here it is, right here. Oh Lord, where we at? We saw this. We saw this. We saw this. Like we're just trying to. You say different. Okay,
credentials. And a lot of times you're asked, have you testified in any other courtrooms in America? And that's important because any attorney will tell you that they would not pick an expert that has not the experience to give testimony in a courtroom. So it's very important for everyone to understand that when you listen to this audio, you would have to ask yourself the question, could you walk inside a courtroom and testify to what
I ain't gonna get some breakfast.
Can you freestyle rap at all? Not yet. Doesn't it appear to be extremely coincidental that you guys arrest people right outside of Governor Newsom's press conference? Is this really just a show of power?
Accept that this could be foul play, right? They want it to be an accidental drowning so we can all go about our business and forget about this, which they don't understand. We aren't going to forget about it. We aren't going to let it go, because if this were an accidental drowning, the autopsy report would have been out a month ago. It would have been out the day after this happened. So here's the part I wasn't realizing, okay? So I read this message from this woman who she said, I agree with the friend on the new information because people did come forward saying Nolan approached them looking for a ride home. Now, I don't know if I believe that, okay? I did read that in a video, but I don't know if I don't believe it. I don't believe it. She said the post was deleted, but here's where I confuse my audience, okay? So just stick with me for a second here. This woman said, I agree with the friend who gave you new information because people did come forward saying Nolan approached them looking for a ride home. The post was deleted, but I have a screenshot. I live in Ocean Springs, and there's no way no one had seen what happened. There were too many people there for the screenshot. So when I read this, I process it as I thought, like, oh, this woman is saying what we're thinking. There's no way nobody saw anything. But where I made my mistake to you guys, my audience, is this woman made the mistake. She said there was people coming forward saying Nolan approached them looking for a ride home. The post was deleted, but I have a screenshot. And so I read this screenshot, but what we need to understand about this screenshot, they're not talking about Nolan. Okay, so stay with me here. Let me know in the comments if you're not tracking. This person, which is a now deleted comment, said the kid on the right looks like the kid that tried to hitch a ride with us. Said he told his friends to go ahead and he'd catch a ride with somebody. We dropped anchor around 11 closer to the west tip, and I saw them walking towards the dunes. There was probably 200 college-age kids together down there. We ended up moving down my wife's mom and dad, but we didn't see any of them again until we were leaving when we approached the young man on the right. So let me just stop you. They're not talking about Nolan. And this is, again, after I deleted that post, because it was just I wasn't giving the information in the right way. I think my original human 2 pointed out to me, they're talking about if you go back to that original picture, right, of the 4 boys on the boat, they got the necklaces around their neck. The boy on the right, the white kid on the right, I'm not going to say his name because they're trying to sue all of us influencers for defamation, but you know, I'm lawyered up. Okay. I'm lawyered up. So just so you know, I'm protected. Now, they're talking about the boy on the right. They're not talking about Nolan. So this does not place Nolan on the island. So now that we know that, keep that in your head. The original picture, right? The boy on the right, okay? The white kid next to Nolan, okay? Allegedly, let's throw out those. I'm on the ledge of allegedly every damn day, you guys. So the kid on the right looks like the kid that tried to hitch a ride with us, not Nolan. Now ask yourself, why would that kid hitch a ride? Allegedly, did he see something on the boat that he didn't like? Did something on the island happen that he didn't like and he chose to stay behind? Here's a question I just have. Why is this person saying that the kid on the right chose to stay behind? Even they approached him again when we were leaving, when we approached by the young man on the right. That was around 4:30 to 4:45 when they said the boat left. He was alone when he walked up to us. We told him that we were at capacity, and he said, no problem. They had more friends out there he could ride back with. Then the woman goes on to say, yes, the person who wrote it is correct. And this is going back to the post where somebody told me about the alleged Dixie Mafia. Yes, the person who wrote it is correct. Everyone is connected, and you don't want to be on anyone's bad side. I'm assuming that's why no one on the island is talking. And then allegedly, we can relate that back to what Trayston, his words, simply said that Ben Crump, they don't know who they're messing with, right? That Ocean Springs has Ocean Springs back, and they don't know who they're messing with. Who is they? It's just a question I have. Okay, let's read. Watching from Youngstown, Ohio, OHIO. What's going on, Sam? I'm just chillaxing. Windy City in the house, a certain city that starts with a C, ends with an O, and in the middle is Hikag. Nolan's in the house. All right, New Orleans, I see you. Thank you, Shaida. I appreciate that. I share all your posts and content from Facebook. Justin, thank you. To like a predominantly Latino skin. She's like, Dad, everybody just thinks we're white and our chicken doesn't have spice in it. And I was like, not me. I know there is a lot of white dry chicken. LBC, Capricorn Steph in the house. I was just there. Detroit in the house. Louisiana. Is that a cancer scar? Yes. Judging the way she grieves after she's lost. If there wasn't something here, we wouldn't all be here. Do you know what I mean? And I just want to say something too that's so disgusting. I'll read this. I saw people on Christina Wansley's, she's a it says primary care physician's clinic, board certified family medicine nurse practitioner. And people went on her page leaving 1-star reviews, and I'll read what some of them said. Would not recommend her. I wouldn't trust her to care for anyone. I don't hate anyone that much to recommend her. Her oath is to do harm. Another 1-star. Unfortunately, I'm looking for another medical provider. I don't feel Christine has my best interest at heart. I should be treated the same as her patients that share her skin color. Pure racism, pure evil. Like anybody, Officer Race Batum Tatum, any of these people going after the mother and judging the way she grieves after she's lost her boy is just simply disgusting. And as Nancy Grace says, there's a special place for people like that in HE double hockey sticks. All right. I just can't even believe it. Hello from Texas. Hello from the UK across the pond. Any new leads on Nolan? No, it's just, and I think that's for me what gets frustrating about this is because why are they not releasing autopsy? And you saw too, TMZ, who I call them now, stands for the Mississippi Zone, because we see the narrative they're pushing. They talked about people suing influencers, media people for defamation of character. They talk about people threatening the families, but why haven't they talked about anything I've mentioned about people leaving 1-star reviews on Christine Walmsley's work website? You don't think the Wells family has received death threats? Also, Officer Tatum talked about the text message. He is saying that, you know, Christine Walmsley, which he's just alleged, not even allegedly, guys, it's just atrocious, his behavior and how he is disrespecting somebody who has just lost their son. Like, for clicks and views, like you see me here, I'm not trying to push any type of narrative but the truth, and just I'm a messenger. All right. I'm here to speak up for an underserved community that otherwise nobody is speaking up for. The media didn't care about Nolan. The media doesn't care about Kendrick Johnson. The media didn't care about Carmelo Anthony. The media didn't care about Cyrus Carmack Belton. The media didn't care about Sonia Massey. The media doesn't care about Philandro Castile. The media doesn't care about Trayvon Martin. The media doesn't care about Ahmaud Arbery. And the list goes on and on and on and on. I could list Black injustice all day long. And I just saw a great creator made a video because, you know, a lot of race people are like, what about black on black crime, Sam? What about that? What about white on white crime? This one creator just made this video of like fathers who've like unalived their whole family. And so what about that? Okay, we understand that. But there is not a two-tier justice system for somebody like me who has the complexion for the protectant when it comes to the law, not sunscreen, not the sun, right? We get treated way more fairly. We get the benefit of the doubt. And that's all we want. We just want equal rights, equal justice for all. That's it. That's simple. That's all the Black community wants. That's all they deserve. But again, let me go back to this officer, Race Batum Tatum, because this really disgusted me. Hang on one second. Let me pull this up. Again, you guys are watching Samson's World. We're broadcasting live to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter. I'm global, baby. And I'm doing this. I'm doing it for the good of the community because we need somebody to speak on it. And our celebrities are gone. Nobody's saying anything. You know, I see like, you know, what about Post Malone? What about Jack Harlow? Had a whole album of Black soul, dressing like he was a Black artist, but doesn't say anything. What about Justin Timberlake, who took everything from Michael Jackson, but doesn't say anything? Justin Bieber, who took everything from Usher, but doesn't say anything. Where are you guys? Paging all celebrity artists, use your platform. Now, here's something that's interesting.
We live. How y'all feeling, people? How y'all feeling, man? We live, man. Sarah K says, W Tommen, WWWW. How y'all feeling, man? Robert Jones says, we live. We live, man. Who's in the building with Flacco, man? Who's in the building with Flacco, man? Who's in the building with Flacco right now? Yo, we just dropped the Roland Martin video. I'll be real. There are people who are in the comment section asking me, yo, where can I find the footage of Roland Martin? Listen, the footage has not been released. It's been... Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. Did I forget to... Right? The footage have not been released. The footage, all right, is actually behind the scenes. There are people who have it, right? You know, those people probably are not going to release it because if you release footage like that, I think it's like revenge porn or some ish like that, right? So I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure. All right. But let's get to it, man. Who's in the chat with me, people? Now, Tatum. Let's get to Officer Tatum, okay? So the reason why, perfect. KPS on the beat says, yo, what's up, man? No Bias Media says we in here, people. So we got, but Tatum did like Jubilee. We'll get to that, but we have to discuss what's been going on, and I think this needs to be discussed, okay? And HM Foot says, welcome, family. You're welcome, my brother. How are you guys doing today, man? So Nolan Wells' mama goes on Don Lemon's show. And on this show, she begins to talk about how certain interviews that certain people did and certain people's rhetoric has caused her to get harassed, has caused like her job and her practice to get bad reviews, her as a provider to get bad reviews. She's been getting threatening phone calls. So she has suffered a great deal because people want to come out here and speculate when it comes to her. And not even fair speculation. Because I feel like what people are doing to whoever Nolan friends are, I think is fair speculation. I think you can look at the facts and evidence and say, this is fair. But the speculation that this woman who just lost her son is somehow in this for money or is somehow like trying to like play up the race aspect to get money in return, I think is crazy. I don't think anybody is in good faith if they assume that a grieving mother is doing anything for a grieving mom. You think that she would much rather have whatever funds are being raised or her son back. Now, and the funds that are being raised are going directly to like independent investigation and to fund research and try to figure out whether or not Nolan Wells died accidentally or whether or not he was murdered. That's it and that's all, right? This woman has gone out of her way to say that she don't think it's about race, and she has kept it there. She has not accused anybody. But Tatum and his rhetoric has essentially vilified this woman, and she's been suffering the consequences, right? So after speaking about all of that, Officer Tatum got brought up directly. She decided to pass up on the question. She was not going to answer the question in regards to Officer Tatum. She says, I'm not answering it. She's not answering it. Now, you will think, right, that if you're brought up and somebody says, you know what, hey, I'm not going to speak on it. I'm sorry, right? I'm not going to speak on that, right? Like that dude's name, like I'm good. You will think there will be nothing for you to respond to. You will think there will be nothing for you to clout chase off of. But Tatum surprised us. Well, if you know Tatum, this is not really a surprise, okay? So the mama goes on Don Lemon, and we're about to show right here. Don Lemon asks her about Tatum. She says, you know what? I have nothing to say towards Tatum. To me, that should have been an end of it. But because Tatum is so addicted to clout, right? He's so addicted to feeling important. He goes ahead and does an hour-long response to this grieving mama who refused to respond back to him.
Respectful to his mama. But I do have criticisms. When you watch this video, you're going to see why I have criticisms. Roll the clip.
When you talk about all the things that have been spread, there is this officer, I hate mentioning his name, a former officer who is a far right wing, who's been doing the interviews and has been saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on Brandon Tatum. No.
Time out. Do you guys find that kind of suspicious or interesting that Don Lemon said, I'm not going to mention his name? Fair enough. If you don't want to give a person publicity, if you don't believe they're legitimate, you won't say the person's name. He said, I'm not going to say his name is this officer, right? Then mom gets on, and you would think she would say, I'm not talking about that dude. He's irrelevant.
Yo, the O'Shane says, what is there to criticize? Bruh, he gonna find a way. Right? You just seen him just find something like to knit and pick at. Like the woman says, hey, I'm not gonna talk about that dude. I'm straight. And the first thing he goes was, you see when she says she won't talk about me, she actually said my name. You know the name that you have plastered all across your social media? Plastered on your Facebook, your Twitter, plastered on your TikTok, plastered on your YouTube. You have your name plastered. So now her even saying his name. So first off, he has a problem with her not responding. And now he has a problem with her even saying his name because he claims she's trying to hate farm him when that's not the case. She's just simply saying, hey, I know who you're talking about or alluding to. I'm not talking about him.
He's not worth my time. I'm not talking about this guy you talking about either. Why would she say Brandon Tatum?
Because that's your name. What are you talking? Yeah, bro, that's your name. Bro, that's your name.
She say Brandon Tatum. She put my full name out there. And in my personal opinion, she want people who hate me to come out and know who I am and search me and do all that other stuff, but refuse to address specific things that they're saying that I'm saying. And they have never addressed some of the things that the boys have said. You have not heard them address the phone thing. You have not addressed them because Warren said that he told Nolan's mother that he had the cell phone and the keys. They have not said that he lied about it. They won't even talk about it. It came up on Chris Cuomo, and you guys will see that shortly. It came up on Chris Cuomo, and they pivoted. They didn't even address what Cuomo said. They just pivoted to something else. All right, continue.
I respect that. And
also that's a lie. So Cuomo and asked them whether or not like the friends were actual friends or something of that sort. And the parent says, yo, these are not, like we don't know half these people. We didn't know of these people before this situation, so we don't know why they're saying they're his best friends, but we're not concerned with a back and forth on the internet. We're not concerned with a back and forth. We are simply trying to figure out what happened to our son. And to me, that's like the perfect response. Why feed into the back and forth? What? So like Tatum, so Tatum can have more content? Like, yo, when they don't talk about something, that's a problem. When they do talk about it, it's a problem. Right? Like, it's a problem, right? Like, if you're saying, yo, these people, because they're calling for their son to be investigated, these people are somehow like evil, these people are somehow wrong, then you shouldn't want them to have a conversation or even talk about those boys, period. But when she don't talk about the boys, it's a problem. When she alludes to the boys and mentions the boy, it's a problem. It sounds like you just want clicks. Yo, you just want for her to engage in drama, and she's done engaging in drama. That's why she ain't respond to you. She ain't respond to the boys. She says, we don't know these people. And she kept it pushing because she's not about to feed into your like thirst for drama, bro. Cut it out.
They didn't even address what Cuomo said. They just pivoted to something else. All right, continue.
I respect that. And that's the right answer for everybody, I believe. And I feel like, because I mentioned him, I'm like, why did I even mention him? Because he doesn't deserve a platform.
No, he does not.
So let's talk about the people, the young men that he's been interviewing. They're saying they're his best friends. Some of them you said that you don't know. One of them even said, "Oh, Nolan would be outraged by the way his parents are handling this." And I'm like, wait, what? Like, why on earth would somebody go on and say that about a grieving family? But
again, distraction. We're not even going to address them or that man. We only want the truth. Again, at the end of the day, I'm going to say it like I've been saying it. The only question we have is what happened to Nolan. That's what we need to know. That's it. That's all.
When you talk about
how does somebody have a problem with this statement? The lady says, all we want is an investigation for Nolan. Look at this face. Why would you have a problem with it?
Happened to Nolan. That's what we need to know. That's it. That's all.
When you talk about all this,
I'm talking about Mama, I got a question for you. With all due respect, why then, if you want to know what happened to Nolan, did your attorney not talk to me before I ever talked to the other side? All right, we passed that point. How come when Nicole or Ashley reached out to you via text, which she showed me, which we posted online, that you didn't respond to Warren's mother to even talk to her and get any information that she may have? The boys already have been investigated by law enforcement. We will not know exactly what they said for a time period, which could be a long time. I don't know. They got to go to grand jury and everything. So we would never know what they said to the police unless you talk to them directly. Why, if you want to know what happened to your son, would you talk to the people that last seen him alive? You're saying they saw him alive last. They're reaching out to you and saying, we want to talk. Let's have a conversation. But instead, you guys did refuse to talk to them, refuse to talk to me, and then get online and push stuff that you have to later redact because you could have talked to them first and cleared it up, talked to their attorneys and cleared it up. You could have gotten all the boys' statements that have been compiled before the police put it out in the public so you can have a clear perspective before you go out in the public. But they did not do it. You know what they did? The first thing they did before they talked to any parent, any person involved, before they talked to anybody, they went and got Benjamin Crump. And they went and got Benjamin Crump. And what are they doing? The day that their son is put into the ground, they go get his estate, establish an estate, and then prepare to sue. Now, if you don't know what happened and you have not made a determination, all you want to know is what happened, then why are you prepping to sue people? You're going to sue them for what?
But you don't even know. But like, that's the point though. You don't know. What you mean prepping to sue? That's the point though, Tatum. You don't have the information they have. You don't know the receipts that they have. You don't know anything about anything in regards to these people. You're simply, hey, why would you sue? You don't know. You don't know. And that is the point. Yeah, you.
We will not know exactly what they said for a time period, which could be a long time. I don't know. They got to go to grand jury and everything. So we will never know what they said to the police unless you talk to them directly. Why, if you want to know what happened to your son, would you talk to the people that last seen him alive? You're saying they saw him alive last. They're reaching out to you and saying, we want to talk. Let's have a conversation. But instead, you guys did refuse to talk to them, refuse to talk to me, and then get online and push stuff that you have to later redact because you could have talked to them first and cleared it up, talked to their attorneys and cleared it up. You could have gotten all the
Looking for a K-12 education that goes beyond the textbook, right from the comfort of home? Welcome to a new standard of online learning.
Beyond general education, our students dive into specialized virtual labs for real-world job readiness. Genealogy Lab,